welcome to another episode of the M42 Adventures podcast. I am your host, Rick Trimmer, and I'm excited about this one. This gentleman, I actually found out about him from my parents. They had hired him to come out to their company party and speak. He's a motivational speaker. His name is Matt Blanchard, and that's all I really know about him. I know that he was in a car accident 19 years ago and is paralyzed from the waist down, and he goes around and tells his story. And from what my mom said, she just said, you have to have him on here, and it will change you. So excited for Matt to come in, and let's jump into this conversation. Yeah, welcome, man. Glad to have you in here. I was actually going to bring up how we met, which was through my parents.
Yeah. Dude, you got some solid parents.
Yeah, they're good people. And my mom, she knows about my podcast, obviously. And I think we were, I want to say Lake Powell, but I'm not sure. But anyway, we were somewhere, and she says, "Hey, you got to reach out to this guy. You came and spoke for my dad's company.
Yep.
Titan Stairs, and they just said it was absolutely unbelievable." So I text you.
Yeah.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yep.
In July. And said, "What's up, man? Love to make the acquaintance." And in January, you text back, and you said, your text said, "Hey, man, I'm at Lake Powell. I'll hit you up next week." And I read it, and I was like, "Man, Powell in January? That's hardcore.
Yeah.
You know, that's pretty cool." And then I put cool. Let me know. And then you called me, or maybe you called. I don't know how that happened. But then you said, "No, I was in Powell 6 months ago, never sent the text." And I says, "Don't worry, I've just been sitting here every day, watching my phone, crying,
praying that Matt would respond."
Yeah, but I'm glad you returned the call. I understand. Things fall through the cracks, especially how busy you are. But that's how we met. I know, obviously, just a little bit about your story. I want to get more into that, but. Yeah, just you have been a motivational speaker for how long? How long have you been doing it?
Well, I've been hurt for 19 years.
I saw your post, not to cut you off, but I saw your post, man. That was a very cool post on your anniversary.
Oh, yes.
I can tell just because I haven't known you, I haven't followed you for long, but from that post. And I have some notes in here on what you said, where like we all have a wheelchair.
Yeah, bro.
And things like that I was like, whoa, this is a cool dude. You are meant for this.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds maybe harsh or something, but
no.
Wow. You are that post gave me chills. I showed it to my children. And like you said, I hate that we have to, as humans, we have to see somebody go through something hard to learn or to be appreciative. But that is kind of the case, is it not?
Oh, it's 100%. Paralysis has allowed me to become the man I was always intended to be.
You said that in that post.
Bro. And honest, if God walked through the door right now and say, "Hey, yo, you've done enough. I'm not even going to take anything from you. I'm just going to make you whole, whatever whole is, because I'm more whole today than I've ever been in my whole life."
Explain that. So the accident happened 19 years ago.
Yep.
It was a car, but you got in multiple car wrecks.
Yeah.
Explain that.
So in 2006, you're
a bad driver.
I was, bro, right? I really am. And ask my kids or my wife; they'll tell you.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you still?
Oh, yeah. You know what? Those curbs come out of nowhere, don't they? I mean, and it's my 50th birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday, brother!
Thank you.
Awesome,
Thank you,
man. You look great.
It's my dad's birthday as well.
Really?
Yeah.
He's a stud.
63.
Yeah, I'm 50.
That's awesome, man. That's a big one.
That's
a big, yeah.
And I'm right where I need to be. I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
I love that.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, man.
Thank you.
So 19 years ago, walk us through it.
I was an electrical contractor. I'm 6'2", and at the time I just ran the St. George Marathon.
31.
Yep, 31 years old, mountain of muscle, man. 215 pounds. Really proud of who I was and my body and everything I put into that. And then on January 16th, it was raining cats and dogs in St. George. So I go out to my brand new truck and I jump in, don't put my seatbelt on, and I hurry across town and pick up one of my employees. His name's Brett, and he's a 19-year-old punk kid. And Brett runs from his house, and I'm laughing because it's raining so hard. He's taking it in the shower. And he jumps in the cab of my truck, and it's brand new. There's 30 miles on this thing. And he shakes his head like a dog, and just now there's water all over my dash, and instantly I see red, you know. And I'm like, Brett, start cleaning up my truck. And he turns to me and says, put your seatbelt on. And I don't like being told what to do. So, you know, I was a little upset, and he grabbed a rag, started cleaning things up, and we jumped on I-15. And we're heading towards Cedar City. And as we did that, the rain turns to snow. For the second time, Brett turns to me, Matt, and he pokes me, put your seatbelt on, just like that.
No way.
This time I gave him all the reasons. Like, I'm 6'2", I'm your boss, I'm in the best shape of my life, nothing can hurt me. Like, I'm literally saying these things. And
wow, this is wild.
Oh, I'm in a wheelchair because of pride and arrogance.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I tell him all the reasons why I don't need to be wearing a seatbelt. That car accidents happen to other people, not me. And that paralysis.
I'm in control.
Oh, bro,
I got this.
I got this.
Wow.
I'm in control, and I'm telling him that. So further up the canyon we go. We get to New Harmony, and I'm following a semi truck, and it's whiteout conditions, and I'm just white knuckled looking at the taillights. And at New Harmony, he gets off the freeway. But I was late, trying to head to Cedar City. And right then, I crossed through that semi-truck's tracks, and Brett turns to me for a third time and says, Matt, please put your seatbelt on. Wow. 3 times, bro.
Wow.
And for the third time, I said no. Not a still small voice. Not a warm, funny feeling. Someone sitting right next to me. Hey, yo, protect yourself. Pride and arrogance, man. Pride and arrogance. So I crossed through that semi-truck's tracks, and now I can't make out where I-15 starts or stops. And I get completely sideways. And I go down into the median, and as soon as my front tires caught that wet dirt from the snow, it's so true. Everything slows down. And I remember thinking, we're going to roll. And my truck didn't roll. It launches into the air. Comes down on the driver's side cab, rips my hands from the steering wheel, starts its second rotation. And now it's throwing me throughout the cab like a rag doll.
Yeah.
Crazy. And the truck stops on the passenger
215 pounds.
215 pounds. And you know, for when I talk to other people about like seatbelt safety or something, if you're in a car with somebody who's not belted in,
my wife is adamant about this.
Oh.
My grandma would never wear her seatbelt.
Yeah.
Just didn't like them. They're uncomfortable. My wife says, Jackie, you're going to kill us.
Facts.
You're going to kill us. Your 200 pounds or 150 pounds of body is going to kill our kids.
You bet. Head to head. Now you got TBIs or brain or whatever.
Wow.
So I don't start my vehicle without everybody's seatbelts on. So
that's interesting.
You know, and it's crazy. We have this free agency thing, you know, and people are going to choose because people are listening right now. Like, you know what? That happens to other people. That doesn't happen to me.
100%.
And if you're listening right now,
it can happen.
That was me, man. That was me. So the truck's on its side.
And I like how you said there wasn't a still small voice. There wasn't. It was a guy saying, do it. And you were just saying, no.
Direct intervention from someone else.
Yeah.
Because I was told.
But a lot of us think the still small voice, you listen to that a little, you know, it's like, oh, something's telling me I better pay attention. But when I'm the same way. I like to hear that because I'm very, I'd be like, don't tell me what to do.
Right.
You know?
Oh.
And I could go the opposite pretty quick.
And I'm working on that because right now I still have a problem with that. I have a problem with being told what to do.
Me too.
Because when I'm told something, it's like I don't have options anymore. Like I have to do this thing, and even if it's good, bad, or indifferent, if I don't have an option, I don't like that.
Me too.
So,
wow.
yeah, him telling me and then him poking me in the chest really set me off. You know?
Right.
19, 30, and so I'm in the cab of my truck. And the truck's on its side, and everything's black. I can't see a thing. And I realize the reason why everything's black is my hips were covering my face. So I was laying on the passenger door, on the glass, and Brett's buckled in right here. And I look up over my head, and here's my knees. And I grab my knees, and as I started pulling my legs back down, they just kind of flopped over each other.
Whoa.
And Brett grabbed this leg and put it. Now I'm sitting right on Brett's lap now. And I look right at him, and I'm like, Brett, I'm paralyzed. And it took emergency crews 2 hours to drive down from Cedar. 2 hours, bro. And Brett held me in that truck.
Both conscious, both just sitting there, and you're...
Oh.
trying to process all of this?
What's just happened?
How do you even? Where does your mind go?
Oh, when I was in the truck, I could hear my phone ringing and I could hear the vibration in my pocket, and I couldn't feel it. And at first I thought, you just got a stinger or something, like a football stinger, and it'll be all right. It'll be all right. But when I laid on that door, and my legs were just so rubbery and so heavy, and then when my body just, it was crazy. And Brett held me there, and he thought, hey, I think your legs are just broken. I think because now I'm not moving. Highway patrolman watched the whole thing happen, and he was over to us in a second, and he climbed up on the driver's side, and now he's looking down at Brett and I, and he's like, "You all right? You all right?" And I said, "I can't feel my legs." And he passes in a C-collar. Brett puts a C-collar on me, and Brett talked to me for 2 hours. They popped out the windshield because they were going to try and get. So picture me laying on the passenger door. They wanted to get me. I wanted out of that truck. So they popped out the windshield, and now the snow and the winds coming in. We were freezing our butts off. Like I've never been so cold. And they just kept throwing blankets over us, and finally,
it's things you don't think about like this. You see the accidents and you drive by them because, like you said, it's never me.
Yep.
And I tell my kids all the time, there's people honking and frustrated, and I'm like, somebody in that car is fighting for their life. Shut up. Shut up. There's somebody's lives are changed. Don't worry about your hour you lost in this traffic.
Right.
Shut up.
Right.
Because you don't realize what they're going through. It's almost like as humans, we want to just kind of blow by it. Like you got in a wreck, you rolled a few times. What next? And it's like, no, you need to hear that we got cold. There was glass in our face. It's like, so that people listen, people slow down, people buckle up. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's Brett had his belt on, and Brett had coffee on him. That's it. He spilled coffee. And lucky that I didn't hit him with my head or my body and hurt him. At that moment, so they cut me out of my truck with the jaws of life, and the sound of the generator, where they're pulling on that thing, it's crazy, the sound you remember.
Yeah.
And they're pulling on the thing. Finally, that generator starts up because it's so cold, and then you just hear as they're tearing the entire top of my truck off. So they do that, transfer me onto a gurney, and take me up to Cedar City. And they do MRIs, CTs, and X-rays.
Cedar, not St. George, huh?
Right. So at that time, it's in 06, St. George and Cedar went trauma ones. So I had an option. I could either go to Salt Lake City, Utah, or to Las Vegas. So I grew up in Salt Lake. So my wife said, hey, let's go to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
So they airlifted me and my wife to Salt Lake, got to LDS Hospital, more CTs, MRIs, X-rays. And what had happened is when I went into the steering column with my back, I didn't snap into like a pencil. There was so much pressure. It's called a compression burst. So there was so much pressure that the 12th vertebrae in my back grenaded. So 2 inches above my belly button. And a piece of that bone went into my spinal cord. Just enough that at 30 years old, I lost everything below the waist. Everything below the waist. So this 6'2", 215-pound man, which what I thought was a man.
Alpha man.
Oh, 100%. Like get on my team or get out of my way. Now was utterly broken. Like I didn't know what I was, bro. My legs were unresponsive. I had tubes and wires and coming out everywhere, and
did you have kids?
Yeah. So I've got 3 kids. They were let's see, 6, 8, and 10 when this happened. And that's
wow.
I think what a lot of people don't understand is the decisions that we make every day affect hundreds, if not thousands of people. And I realize now that my decisions directly impact my family and my kids. That my kids have gone through paralysis. And they've seen.
Yeah, they're with you. They're on the journey.
Bro. So, I'm up in ICU, and all I want to do is sit up. I haven't sit up in 10 days. I've gone through 2 surgeries. My back, right this second, is held with 2 titanium rods that run the full length of my spine.
So with the surgery, they're just trying to stabilize.
Yep.
They're just trying to protect what you have left.
So and growing up in Salt Lake, like hundreds and hundreds, my wife says hundreds of people were in the waiting room and would just stay there and sleep overnight. And I'm talking people from my elementary school, my neighborhood I grew up, Banyan Junior High, Taylorsville High School, Salt Lake Community College, University of Utah, and then everything else. Hundreds and hundreds of people.
Wow.
Because my network is,
Touched a lot of lives
I put
in
so
31
much
years.
money into my, or so much time into my network because I care. I really care. So,
Which is amazing at 31.
but I was broken, bro. And I didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So I'm laying there in ICU and I want to sit up and I can't sit up. And I'm thinking, okay, they've still got me strapped to that gurney. What's going on? I'm looking down at my body and every time I sit up, I just can't sit up. And I look at my right hand and I've got electrodes and tubes, and I look at my left hand, it's free. So because the goal is I'm going to grab my quads and I'm going to pull myself up to a sitting position. And as I took my left hand and grabbed my left quad, and I couldn't feel it, man. I couldn't feel the touch of my own hand. And that's when it got real. So 10 days in ICU, 2 surgeries, and my legs are rubbery, heavy, cold, unresponsive, and everything below the waist is gone. And during those surgeries, they give me pain medication. And what pain medication does to a GI system is backs it up.
Yeah.
And I was on a lot of pain medication. So I hadn't had a bowel movement in those 10 days either. And my stomach was distended and I was in so much pain. I just wanted to go to the bathroom. And they're giving me enemas and suppositories, anything to get my bowels going. And it's time for me to move out of ICU and into my own hospital room. And they do that, and it's right around 6 o'clock at night, right at shift change. And this is back in 2006 before, we're doing everything electronic. So the nurses put me in my own room. They leave the room, and I kid you not, that door closes, and my bowels release. And I'm just like, oh, it feels so good. Like the pain's gone. It's amazing. And then it gets above my belly button, and I can start feeling this stuff coming up my sides. The reason why I couldn't sit up in ICU is I didn't know how to anymore. My abs had been taken, my glutes, my legs, everything. I didn't know how to sit up, but you don't know what you don't know.
It's new.
So I'm sitting there and this stuff just keeps coming and coming and coming and coming. And I'm so grateful. And I look for my nurse call button and I'm hitting my nurse call button. Well, it wasn't plugged into the wall. And I'd been 10 days in ICU. I didn't have the lung capacity to yell yet. And so I'm yelling, I'm trying to hit the button, nobody's coming. This stuff has come up under my armpits and now it's in my hair and behind my ears. And so I start praying to God that somebody would hear me, someone would come.
Was you religious before?
Yes, very, 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 very religious.
Okay.
And nobody came. And I sat there in my stuff until 6 a.m. the next morning.
Whoa.
And I've had these brand new incisions and these staples and all this stuff, and it got into it. And it got an infection. And those wounds needed to be packed every day. And it broke me. That moment broke me. And I don't know if anybody else has ever been like broken. I'm talking broken. And I did not want to live anymore. I'd lost the desire to live. And the following morning at 6 a.m., the shift change, the nurses come in and the CNAs come in, and here's this 30-year-old man laying there, and these cute CNAs start cleaning me up, and they're just talking about their weekend, and I remember they went to the club, and they got the sheet, and they're rolling me one way and wiping me up, and then they'll roll the sheet the other way, wipe me up, and it's over and over and over again until I was clean. And I was so ashamed, man. I was so embarrassed. And these cute girls, they'd done this 100 times. They'd probably done it 100 times more, but it was my first time. It was my first time. So they get me all cleaned up, and now all those visitors can come in and see me. My friends, people I've known my entire life. And as they would come into my room, I wouldn't open my eyes for anybody. I wouldn't engage in any conversation with anybody. I just wanted this nightmare over. And so 8:30 at night, didn't open my eyes that day, and everybody leaves my room except my dad, my pops. Oh, I love my dad, you guys. He's a Marine, and he's gone now. But my dad pulls a chair over the side of my bed, and I wouldn't even open my eyes and acknowledge my dad. But he says, Matt, Matt, this is paralysis. Matt, this is big. Matt, you can quit. We can all quit. But do you have it in you to dig in, dig deep, and get it done? And then he got up and he left the room, and I was pissed, man. When he said that, I was freaking pissed. Because he didn't know how heavy and how unresponsive and how cold and how foreign my body felt to me. And so I'm sitting there thinking, well, dig in, what the hell? Okay, life in a wheelchair. And dig deep. Okay, this paralysis thing. Well, I'm Matt Blanchard. I'm 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Paralysis hasn't got anything on me. What am I going to get done? I'm going to walk again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to freaking walk. So the following morning, my occupational therapist came in the room, and he looks right at me and said, Matt, what do you want to do today? His name's Casey. And I said, Casey, I want to walk. And he says, okay, we'll walk. But first I want you to get your socks on. And I laughed. I said, for real? Like, I get my socks on and we'll walk, bro? And he's like, you get your socks on, we'll walk. So he throws me a pair of socks and he starts to leave the room. And I'm like, yo, Casey, where you going? I just got to get my socks on. We're going to walk. And he said, you get your socks on, we'll walk. So I'm laying there in bed. I don't know how to sit up. I don't know how to roll over. And I certainly didn't know how to get my socks on. So I got these socks, and I'm pulling at my pants, trying to get my legs up to me. They're not coming. 40 minutes goes by. I am sweaty. I'm exhausted. And when I get frustrated, I start cussing. So I'm cussing, you know. And nurses and CNAs are coming into my room. Are you okay? What's going on? Are you all right? I'm like, I'm getting my socks on. You know? Can't you see I'm getting my socks on? Well, Casey comes in, and he's like, Matt, it's been 40 minutes. I thought you wanted to walk. This is the kind of therapist Casey is, okay? He knows. So I'm like, really? And then he said, Matt, you want help? You want help getting your socks on so we can get to this goal of walking? And I said, no, I don't want help. I don't need help getting my socks on. And I realized today that we all need help getting our socks on. It's just my socks look a little different than yours.
100%.
Yeah. We all have goals. We're all going places. So how can I help you get your socks on?
Was that something that he was taught, or was that just something that he had learned? Because that is profound, you know, that he would do something. I mean, is that something from being in, have you ever asked him? Is that?
I haven't ever asked Casey.
You know, because he's there in the first moments.
Every day.
Of what your new normal.
And he's seen it thousands of times, right?
And he knew how to get through to you without having the conversation.
Right.
That's big.
Yeah.
Those are the gifts of true healers, right?
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah, it gives me cold chills.
Yeah.
You know,
It's insane.
It's not because a lot of people try to sit down and walk you through it.
Yeah.
Here's the reasons. Here's the data. And it's like he knew that he needed to kind of break you down without breaking you down.
Oh.
That's a interesting, and like you said, that's what we all need.
I needed to be broke down not only by Casey, but by my wife, because in my mind I was still 6'2", 215.
100%.
That was this independent guy that didn't need help from anybody. I'm the one that helped people. I didn't ask for help. There again, pride, arrogance. You know what I mean? Like, bro, that's what got me. That's what I'm working on still to this day. Pride and arrogance. So, you know, I said, Casey, I don't need help getting my socks on. And so he starts to leave the room again. And I kid you not, he throws me a lasso. And I figure, okay, he wants me to fish for a foot that I can't even see. So I'm in this bed and I'm just doing this number. Used up every cuss word there is. Start making up some cuss words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And finally, at like an hour and 10 minutes, I roped my right foot. And I pulled that leg up to me. Now, there is an outline on the bed of my sweat. And I've got this brace that goes from my clavicles just to my hips so I can't, you know, do all the damage to those screws and rods. Finally, I get my right foot, put my sock on, throw it down to the end of the bed, say a prayer, and God listens even if you cuss, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I broke my left foot the very first time, and I was because I was exhausted. I was exhausted from getting socks on.
This is how many days after
This
the
is
accident?
This is 11 days post-accident.
Wow.
11 days.
Wow.
And I got that left sock on, and I tried to throw my leg down at the end of the bed. So this is my right leg. My left leg kind of made it this far. And I'm laying there in bed just exhausted, and Casey comes walking into the room. He'd been watching the entire hour 15, right?
He's just
The whole time.
he's like a sitcom.
And he comes in, and he's applauding me. He's like,
Nice.
Matt, good job. Let's go. You got your socks on. Let's walk. And I just kind of gave him one of these. I'm like, dude,
I'm so dead.
I got my socks on. Give me a break.
Yeah. Oh man.
And we did this for, we did this for 6 weeks. Socks, pants. Learn how to roll over. Learn how to sit up. Learn how to get socks on.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, man.
6 weeks.
Learning how to shower differently. Learning how to go to the bathroom differently. Learning how, everything was different. So I'm a 30-year-old baby, basically.
You know, and that's there's such a lesson in that because everybody wants things now. We especially in this day and age, right? It's like I we went shooting Saturday with a M42 Adventure class, and my boy was struggling Castle in the beginning. And he's getting frustrated. I'm like, you shouldn't be good at this. You haven't shot.
Right.
Why do you just expect to be good because you started? Like, and so that's what I think. It's like that would be what would be hard for me mentally. I know because my personality. It's like 6 weeks to go that far,
Right.
but it's not that far because there's, it's like.
So it's in the therapist and doctor's eyes, it was monumental.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. In our eyes, it's like, oh, you got your socks on. Whoa.
Right.
But to them, it's like, whoa.
Right. And all I wanted to do was walk. Every morning when Casey would come in, what do you want to do today? I want to walk.
And I just put a note on here, your pride and stubbornness. Mm-hmm. You keep saying that we're working on that today, but I always tell my wife, because I'm very stubborn, but I always tell her that where I'm at in my life is a lot because of that. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because if you didn't have that in you, I understand you're trying to harness it and trying to, put it in the direction that will create good instead of bad. But man, if you wasn't the way you are,
Yeah.
you wouldn't be where you're at here today.
So I was going crazy.
I'm grateful for your stubbornness. I'm grateful for your arrogance. Is that a weird thing to say? Because
No, not at all. Because I am too.
because that's what's made.
That's
I think that's been not only your. It's like a
Well,
Catch-22 or
everything has
something.
its like duality.
yeah. Well, it's like that's what's made you
100%.
say
100%.
I'm gonna walk or I'm gonna do this.
this.
I'm gonna like get out of my way.
Right.
That's interesting, to see that the weakness can also become the.
Oh, yeah. Vulnerability is humongous. Vulnerability. You want to have a better relationship with your wife, your kids, anywhere. Become vulnerable and let them see that you're human. And I was raised. We don't cry. We rub dirt on it. If there's not a bone showing, get back in there.
Yeah.
Like my dad was my coach.
I always tell my kids that there's hurt and injured.
Yeah. Same, bro.
Yeah.
So if you're hurt, get back in there.
Get back in there. If you're injured, we'll talk.
You bet.
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny. I don't have anybody to say that to but my wife, but I do.
Yeah.
Dude.
So 6 weeks, got the socks on.
So I decide, I'm now my doctor. Okay, so you got to think in those 6 weeks, every single day, 30 people, 40 people at my room through every therapy.
Wow.
So the one thing that I do have that others don't
Huge
is
support.
huge, bro.
Yeah.
Huge, because I've poured into that network my whole life. I still have friends like a guy named Mike Strong from elementary school.
Nice.
Tiffany Jensen, still people that I have good relationships with today from elementary school, because that matters to me, and
It should matter to everyone. It should matter to everyone.
Not knowing that they were going to literally save my life, and my network. Hey, you saved my life. I don't know if you know that or not, but they saved my life, 100%.
I was talking to Chase about this yesterday. How I Castle, my boy. We have a neighbor that's a sweetheart. He worked for me for a couple of years working on my cabin, and then now they started traveling, and they just got back from a big trip. and I haven't gone and said hi yet. And he went over to give them their mail, and I says, "Did you ask them how their trip was?" And he says, "No." And I says, "Well, why not?" And he says, "I don't know." And I says, "Castle, you're 13 years old. You need to start caring about people. You need to start building your network." Didn't I? I told you that. I says, your net worth is your network. And I says, you need to start talking and not, I says, they were excited. They had a great trip. And I says, if you would have just said, "How was it? How did it go?" And they had said, "It was amazing." And it said, "That's cool." You would have walked away and they'd have said, "He's a good boy."
Yep.
And I says, you got to start thinking about others, because that's what's going to bring your value in friendships. And I talked to him, I had an hour-long conversation with him about it at 13, because you never know. 31 is a very young time
Yes.
to have that kind of,
Yes.
influence.
So I'm speaking to a group of billionaires. So there's 30 billionaires in this room.
Wow.
And I get to a point in my presentation and I'm talking about a word called Ubuntu.
I know what that is.
UBUNTU. So that's how it's spelled. UBUNTU.
Yeah, and it means like human, right?
You bet, bro.
Yeah.
It's the essence of being human. Yeah. And so I'm at this part and we're talking about millionaires and this kind of stuff. And kid you not, this guy stops me. He's like, "Matt, are you a billionaire?" I was like, "No." And right in the middle of my presentation, man. And he's like, "Well, why are you not a billionaire?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I don't have enough passive income, or I don't have this, that, and the other." And well, heck, I don't know. He's like, "Well, let me tell you how to be a billionaire." I'm like, "All right, cool." He's like, "If you take 10 people and you help them become millionaires, by default, you'll become a billionaire." And then he said, "Matt, this isn't about you. It's about us." And now you got 30 billionaires just like, there it is. There's the secret sauce, people.
Wow, that's awesome.
So you're with your son. It's not, so is it about your son? Sure. But if he can make it about other people.
100%. I told him, I says, you don't want to be hollow. You don't want to be, I says, "Do you love Brent?" And he says, "Yeah." And I says, "Then think about Brent. Think about him. He's excited about his trip. He just got home. I promise he'll want to talk about it."
Right.
Just say a couple sentences. And that's the thing and like you said, I like that. Human. It's like, it doesn't have to be monetary. It doesn't have to be, no games. It's just be human. And I'm going to tell him that.
So I would recommend saying, this is what I tell my kids, is you can go and talk to anybody. I don't care who they are, because they're going to go home to a house where they're going to kick the dog and swear at the cat and yell at the kids and argue with their wife. And that's everybody, man. Everybody's just doing their best to get through this life. So, so if you're going into an interview, you're selling yourself. So just talk about yourself, but realize the person that's across from you, I don't care if it's Donald Trump. This guy has problems. This guy argues with his kids it's just another human being. And if they'll let you in, why wouldn't you go in?
100%. Yeah.
So
they say the best conversations are ones where you let the other talk.
Yeah.
People like to talk and let them, like you said, if it makes their day better.
I'll give you a secret sauce. Here it is. Here's Matt Blanchard's secret sauce.
All right.
So the word manipulation has a negative connotation to it, right?
I know.
But like, if you think of physical therapy, if you're manipulating limbs, that's a good thing. So you've got to manipulate the situation you in a good
100%
way.
I would like to call it mold. Mold the situation.
Yeah.
He's got to be just so.
I actually told my wife that yesterday. I manipulated a situation a couple days ago with some people, but it made it a good thing.
Yeah.
And I says, I manipulated them. And Gina says, "Oh, don't use that word. Kid you not." And I says, it doesn't have to be a bad word.
Yeah.
Right.
I says, you can manipulate well, like in a good way, and you can manipulate in a bad way.
Well, in a way, it's like your occupational therapist. He manipulated you.
100%.
Yeah, and that's
but a beneficial way.
100%.
Yeah.
He said exactly what I needed to hear, right?
Exactly.
Like, and then my doctor, the doctor with that physical therapist, here it is. So finally, I wake up one morning and I get my socks on and my sweatpants on. I'm ready for Casey to
How
come in.
long were you there?
3 months. I didn't want to go home. Okay.
Yeah, you became comfort.
No. I knew I was walking out of LDS hospital. I didn't think, I didn't hope, I didn't think, I knew I was walking out of the LDS hospital.
That's a nice thing when you have that,
Bro.
you know.
And so Casey,
But it's also not nice when you lose that, probably.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like, but that no fail at it, like it creates something in you.
yeah,
you know.
and other people see that too, and they're like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
Like what is that? So I get my sweatpants on. I'm ready to go. I'm ready for Casey to come in the room and say, "Hey, what do you want to do today?" Because we're walking today. I'm ready. And he comes in, looks at me, goes back out of the room, goes grabs my doctor. Doctor comes in, standing at the foot of my bed, and says, "Mr. Blanchard, I understand you want to walk." And I'm like, "No, bro, you got it wrong. I'm going to walk." And this doctor, I thought at the time, did not like me. Did not like me at all. And I did not like this guy at all. And he says, "Look, you've suffered a very severe spinal cord injury." And he's showing my x-ray. Got my x-ray, and then he's got all my rods and everything. And I had not seen this yet.
Oh.
Okay, all that stuff.
Okay.
And he says, I've treated thousands of spinal cord injuries just like yours throughout my career. Matt, it's impossible. You are a T12 complete spinal cord injury. And T12 completes do not walk. It's impossible. Focus on becoming independent in your wheelchair. You know, and as every great surgeon, great bedside manner, he turns around and leaves the room. and I'm trying to process everything.
Debbie Downer.
Yeah.
Casey comes in the room, and I'm still just like, and I look at Casey, I'm like, did he just tell me I'm not going to walk again, bro? And Casey says, "You know, Matt, you're a T12 complete. It's impossible. I've done this a long time, and you're not going to walk." And that's exactly what I needed to hear. And I freaking went to work, man. So in life, everything is impossible. And I'm talking everything is impossible until it's not.
Until somebody does it.
You know, we got these things right here. I graduated high school in 93. And if you'd have told me that, hey, you're going to be able to look at this thing, it's not going to have any buttons on it or anything, and you're going to be able to say, "Call XYZ in India," and you'll have a face-to-face conversation with XYZ in India, that's impossible, bro.
1,000%.
That's Star Trek stuff, right?
Dude, I remember, like, to this day, and I don't know why, but my Uncle Kyle, he worked for a company, or you know, a technology company at one point in time, and we're hanging out at my grandparents' house, like Thanksgiving or something, and my dad comes up and he tells me this story about this device that they're going to come out with, that you're no longer going to have to use cards or cash or anything like that. You just literally like hold it against the pop machine or whatever you're doing, and it'll just, you know, go through your bank account. And all that is crazy, you know, and then look, it's there. Like, and this was like around that point in time, you know, and so it seemed literally impossible.
Yeah.
You know, everything about it was like, you're crazy.
Like literally, right? So I mean, Roger Bannister, 5 Minute Mile, right? That's humanly impossible.
Yep.
And now you got a kid in Cedar City, high school kid, running a sub 4 mile. Sub 4, bro. I can't go that fast downhill.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy cooks.
Every single time something's impossible, all it takes is somebody to break it, and the next person's going to break that. It's just the mentality of it.
Mount Everest, right? So Rick, don't go, but it's never been summited before. Anybody who's ever tried, guess what? It's cost them their life, bro.
Right.
It's impossible. Today, 6,800 some odd people have summited, have done the impossible. So
We were talking about, is it 12 Peaks?
Was it 16?
Have you seen that show on Netflix called
No.
12 Peaks? Or
is it with the ice climbers? And
that's a crazy one.
That guy's,
and he died.
And he died.
Yeah. But that one, I love those shows.
Yeah, me too.
I love those shows. But there's one called, I think it's like 16 Summits.
Something
You
like
need to
that.
watch it.
Yeah, we
You need to
talked
watch
about
it.
it with
On
somebody
Netflix
else
or what?
recently.
Yeah. It's about a Sherpa, and he says, I'm going to summit the seven peaks. Google it.
Oh, yeah.
That's your
there we
job
go.
now. Remember, we talked about this. Come on.
That's
Paying
your
you,
job
not
now.
paying you to sit here and look pretty.
Chip, chip, bro.
Come on,
Chip,
bro.
chip.
It's called something 7 peaks or 7 summits, but it's this Sherpa who he says, I'm going to climb the 7 highest. We'll get the number. Peaks in the world in 6 months. And everybody says, you cannot do it. Some people train to do these for years.
Right.
And he does it. And there's one where you'll love it, where he gets to like, I think the second or third one, and he gets there and it's horrible weather. And the base camp's down there, and they're like, you can't go up. And he's like, I have 7 days to get to the top of this one. And I got to go on to the next one. And they're like, dude, you can't do it. And he says, I'm going to do it. And they're fighting with him. They're like, if you go up there, you're going to die. And he says, the problem is most people haven't gotten to the point of where they're going to die, and you see how much more you have left.
Bro.
And he says, I have, and I'm going. And he does it. And he comes back, and they're all like, we don't know how he did it, how that happened. And that's one of the, those are the people who make us, like you, that make us dream, that make us believe, that we need in our lives to say, hey,
So in this life, is the goal to live, or is the goal to be happy? Because if you're just, and I say
existing,
if you're just happy, then you're not living.
100%.
Because I want to feel the depths so that I can appreciate the highs. And
I tell my kids all the time, we wouldn't know what sugar tastes like if we didn't have salt.
you bet.
14 peaks.
Yeah, write that down, Matt.
14 peaks. That's
14 peaks. Nothing is impossible. So
It
literally
is-
what
it
we were
is-
just talking about. Nothing is
It's
impossible.
one of my top. There's another one that I wanted to talk to you about.
Nepalese climbers attempt to summit the world's 14 highest peaks in 7 months. It's on Netflix.
It is the one we were talking about with the ice climber. It's similar to that, but it is where you're a motivational speaker and you can relate to this guy. I couldn't. I watch it with my popcorn and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
And every time I turn to my wife and I'm like, damn, there's some amazing people out there. The humans are beautiful.
Yeah.
But they're the ones who push the envelope.
Yeah.
They're the ones who say, like the ice climber.
Right.
I'm watching that the whole
kid's a
time,
stud.
and
That
I'm
kid's a
like,
stud.
what are you doing? Please just get down. And his mom's on there, and you're watching it, and I'm like, don't die. And he died, and at the end he died. And I'm sorry if you haven't seen it, and I'm just sobbing,
Dude.
I'm just sobbing, but I'm like, but then I'm like, he died what he loved doing, and he died. You have to
Living. He died living.
He died
bro.
living. Yeah. Good
Yeah, he
point.
died living.
Yeah, died with his picking his hand, right? And he probably knew that.
I think we're all given challenges in our lives, and I think we've all got it what it takes.
Me too, 100%.
There's
The crappy thing is you've got to be tested to get there,
Right.
and that sucks. That sucks.
Yeah. I think we all, especially, yours is much more aggressive, but I think there's a lot of things that we don't pay attention to when we go through certain kinds of things, like what it actually evolved us into, and like, for instance, I was just thinking about this guy. He was, it's called Charge. It's the Eduardo Garcia story. And the only reason I know about it and I really think it's really special is I'm a chef, and I've, been one for 24 years now. So I started out kind of randomly here in St. George, but I've been doing it for so long because it's a huge passion of mine. And sometimes, God will put some serious roadblocks in your passion, in the thing that is the deepest meaningful thing to you, to see if you can still find the passion in it, and so like he ends up getting struck by lightning, loses his hand. I don't know how hard it would be to be able to operate with what he still has left as a chef. And I watched it all, and it's just amazing, like what you can push past, what you can relearn and evolve into, because he's just as good as he ever was. But that passion relit inside of him, like it was like just a whole different ballgame, because you get stagnant in things that you really get good at.
Yeah.
Like you get to the point where you're like, I'm not learning a whole
Almost
bunch
bored.
anymore. And so sometimes if you're going to be great, you got to be flipped upside down.
100%.
I got blown up, in an explosion, and just have never worked inside a kitchen again. I had to flip it upside down, and now I just cook outside.
Wow.
So it's just one of those things, So
Have you ever seen? I just googled another movie here, and have you ever seen the movie Full Circle?
No.
You need to watch that.
Full Circle.
one. Dude.
Full Circle, huh?
Yeah, it's a 2023 documentary about a paralyzed skier and his recovery. The film follows Trevor Kennison, a snowboarder who became paralyzed after a fall in 2019. Have you heard of Barry Corbet?
Huh?
Dude.
Yeah.
Matt, where have you been,
where
bro?
am I at, dude? I've been under a
Come
rock
on,
so
bro.
many
Here's
years.
all
Come
these
on.
people, dude. Like,
Yeah,
what are you talking
come
about?
on. Hey, I'm not as big a deal as you thought, then, I guess.
I want you to watch both of those and then call me.
Done.
I want to see because that one, when I first talked to you, that's the one that reminded me of you. But he gets paralyzed, and it shows his journey because it's new, and they film
His progressions.
but it's real. He's in the bathtub and just swearing and frustrated because he can't bathe himself, and he's trying to go to the bathroom, like we talked about earlier, and stuff like that. And it's like, I don't want to jump too far ahead. I want to keep on your story and on the timeline, but
Jump ahead, bro. Go.
dude, this one, I want you to watch this and just talk to me about it.
Okay.
I want because it moved me. It changed me. And I just want to see your perspective on it. But so you're in the hospital. Doctor came in.
Yep.
Said you're not walking.
Yep.
You said,
I said, we're going to do this. So he told me it's impossible, which is exactly what I needed to hear. And so I got rid of that doctor. I did. I did. So
needed to hear to come to terms with it. No. Needed to hear to say, watch this.
Right on. Let's go.
Okay.
So I got rid of that doctor. Seriously, had no interest in having another conversation with him ever again. So he labeled me, and we've all been labeled. Mm-hmm. Good things, bad things, and everything in between. Mm-hmm. And I only wear labels that serve me. And we'll get to that.
Okay.
So I surrounded myself with people who thought maybe, with the right attitude and the right effort. And those two things we have control of our entire lives, our attitudes and our efforts. You can't make me happy or sad or anything, and it's not even your responsibility. And I can't make you happy or sad. So we got to work on us and find our happiness, find our purpose, and go get it. Go fail. So many people are afraid to fail, man.
I think one of the biggest things that I see are the victim mentality.
Oh, yes.
You know, it is, you're either one or the other.
Yes.
And if you're in the victim mentality, I just feel so sorry, you know, because like you're saying, it's like, I can't help you. I can't help that. You have to.
You're stuck there.
I can't, help you quit smoking.
Right.
You have to quit smoking. And it's the same as I can't help you be happy.
Right.
I can't help you, wake up today and feel grateful.
Right.
You have to do that. And if you can't, and I know they're not choosing it, but how do you fix that?
I don't know.
I think it's by hearing stories like yours. I think people hear stories like yours and they say, wow, I do. I think that's what you're doing, is inspiring people to,
We all live someone's dream life.
I said this to my wife yesterday.
Bro, like there is a quadriplegic. Mm-hmm. Let's just take my boy, Sean Bradley.
That's so sad.
Oh, bro. He's my boy, too.
Is he?
Yeah.
Got hit by a car, right?
Yeah, hit by a car. Quadriplegic.
And he's not old, is he?
He's my age.
Is he?
Yeah, 50,
young.
maybe 52, something like that, a little older than me. And what would Sean give to be able to...
Is he quadriplegic?
You bet. Or not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
Open the door. All this, we were talking earlier about the little things, right? So you're driving somebody's dream car. You're living in somebody's dream house. You're married to somebody's dream. So comparison is the thief of joy. So if I compare myself to anybody, I will fail at trying to. If I brought another wheelchair in and like, yo, Rick, checks out, you're gonna be me. You'll fail every time, bro. I mean, first of all, you're better looking than me, right? So
yeah, right.
but you could get close to being me, but you'll fail. So here it is, everybody. You're perfect. You're perfect. You're perfect. And I'm perfect. Because there's only one Matt Blanchard on the planet. And no one can fail like me. And no one can succeed like me. And I am perfect. I'm a perfect being. I'm a perfect Matt Blanchard. If I try to be you, I'll fail every time. So just be you, damn it. Stop trying to be like, especially the women. Women are enough. They've always been enough, and they're beautiful. And if they can tell themselves that, you tell yourself something enough times, you believe it. And I'll tell you this right now. I'm the man. I am the man because I do hard things. You do hard things. You do hard things. And this is where the wheelchair comes in. So, I was faced with an obstacle this morning. You asked last night, hey, can you get upstairs? Hell yeah, I can get upstairs. How? I don't know. Mm-hmm. People get caught up on the how, man. Like I've got this impossible goal. I've been told it's impossible to walk. Well, people say, well, how are you going to do that? And a lot of times people let the how destroy the dream or the goal. The how's the fun part, man. The how is the freaking fun part. So how am I going to walk? I don't know. I'm going to go until I fail, and then I'm going to tweak one thing, and I'm going to go till I fail, and then I'm going to tweak one, not the whole doggone thing, one variable, and I'm going to go again and go again and go again and go again.
Better, 1%
you bet.
Better. Yeah.
And if you do that every single day, whatever your dream is, whatever your goal is, if you work on it every single day and never quit, you will accomplish that goal.
I wasn't sure how it was going to happen.
Yeah,
You know, and
yeah.
I went down there. I'm like, what do we got to do? You know, and then I watched him walk upstairs.
Yeah.
It might have not been in the fashion that another person would walk, but he walked.
Yeah.
You know, and that was amazing.
And what was cool
Thanks, bro.
was
Thank you.
What was cool was last night I was with my wife and I says, Matt's in a wheelchair. I don't know him real well, but we can set up the studio downstairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna text him. And she's like, I don't know. Is that rude? Is that, you know? And
Right.
I'm like, no. He seems like the guy who would be okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I texted, and you were like, dude, I can totally do stairs.
Yeah.
Where's your text back?
Right.
And it's like, that is so refreshing. That is so refreshing. Cause I'm nervous. I'm not trying to
Right.
hurt your feelings.
Right.
You know,
Right.
what we're feeling, you know,
Right.
it's like, oh, I don't want to be rude and let's just set it up down there. But if I'd have done that, you'd have came in and been like, well, this is your studio. It's like, well, I set it up down here. It's like, dude, why didn't you ask me? I could have gone up the
Right,
stairs.
right.
It would have been me treating you less.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it's like, hey man, can you do it? I can do it. You're up here. You're in our studio. And there was two things with that. Was one, I loved how you reacted, and it was just another testament to who you are. And then, you know, two, it made me think, why don't we have an elevator? Why don't we have, you know, like, it's like, why don't we have, it's things that we just take for granted.
Well, okay, so the stairs were hard. They were hard. They were hard.
They're a hard set of stairs.
And now I'm on the other side of hard doing a podcast with
Yeah,
you.
exactly.
And so on the other side of hard is joy.
Right.
On the other side of hard is purpose. On the other side of hard is life, man.
But that's where you inspire. You know, that's where I see you coming up the stairs and you shuffled up them, right? We didn't help you.
Right.
You did it.
Right.
And I was like, what a badass.
So if you guys
That's
weren't
literally
here,
what I thought. I didn't think, you know, I was like, dude.
Yeah.
And you're smiling and you're laughing and you get to the top and you're like, I'm winded, bro. Give me a second. All right, let's take a minute and step away from this conversation real quick and talk about something that we have going on. So as many of you know, we launched our online community last year in September. So it's about 120 days old. We have about 130, 140 members now, growing daily. And it is free. So this is a community that has mentors in there. So we have about 10 mentors in there right now who are teaching everything from motorcycles, fitness, finances, travel, help me out,
Mental
Chase,
health, and
mental health,
And then we have relationships
hiking,
and family. Yeah. And then we have
self-defense,
Yeah, with Teague. He's an
firearms,
actual dojo.
outdoor cooking, travel. So these are people that are qualified, that we have vetted, that have been doing this for years and years and years in their respective fields, and they are in there teaching us about travel, about self-defense, about firearms, all these things that we have said. And it's not me, it's not my community. I built the structure, but it is professionals that are training me and others in their respective fields, and it is changing lives. I guarantee it. And again, it is free. So come on in. It also gives you the first right of refusal to any of our experiences. We're doing monthly experiences. We're doing 1 day, 3 day, 7 day experiences. You get first right of refusal. And then also we're doing a giveaway. So when we get to 250 members, we are going to be giving away an amazing adventure, which is 2 nights at Elevation 40 Zion, which you can check out, which is an amazing cabin here in Southern Utah. It's on social media. And we're going to be doing side-by-side, shooting guns. You're going to be hanging out with me and a couple of the other mentors in the Genesis for the day. You'll get 2 nights there at the cabin, 3 days. And it is going to be an epic, epic adventure. And that is going to be given away free only to members of the Genesis once we hit 250. And it will be completely random. So hopefully we can see you in there. Again, thank you for listening. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Please like, share, rate it. And let's get back to this conversation. You know, and I think that's what's cool is it's just because I'm sure you've met people that are paralyzed.
Yes.
That are not you, that are.
Yes. So I volunteer at the hospital. So if we have a trauma one come in, especially spinal cord injury, then I'll stay with them from admittance to discharge. And I'll go through my life and show them. Because it's a lot different to have a doctor walk in to a room and say, hey, this is what it's going to be.
That gives me
and
cold
then
chills,
gives you
man.
this
That is
thing.
a big deal.
And says, hey, you're going to need to go use this to go to the bathroom for the rest of your life and things like that.
And it's okay.
you're looking at this able-bodied person, and you're telling me how it's going to be paralyzed, and instantly they just don't have the you don't want to hear it. You don't know what I'm going through, and they don't. And luckily we have some amazing doctors down here in St. George and with Intermountain that allow me to volunteer and come in, and I'll roll in there and say it's time to catheterize. It's time to learn this will kill you. I know you want to walk because that's what everybody wants to do, right? Like I just want to be back to where I was. That's why I want you to watch that
full circle. So, he's the same where he's like, I will walk.
What I'm interested in here is to see if he had the same mindset as me.
That's what I want to see too.
So
so at the end he does an amazing feat on a ski, amazing thing, and I just love that. I love seeing the human spirit, be broken.
Yes.
Which we all are. That's the thing. It's like you said, I love how you said we all have our wheelchairs.
So bro, you saw my wheelchair. You're like a little, and even your wife, she's like, well, I don't know. And I don't know. So she saw my wheelchair. Bro, I don't see your wheelchair.
No, and
I know you're going through some shit.
Guaranteed.
And your wife, and everybody's got their wheelchair. I'm just lucky that everybody sees my challenge and thinks his life's hard.
Well, and I loved in your video how you said, not only you said they smile at me, they hold the door. I haven't opened the door in years. I haven't, it's
True.
like you turned it to where it's like, not only do they see it, but it's it brings a positive to my life because they smile at me, they open my door, and it's like, oh my gosh,
dude,
that's genius.
Dude.
Because like you said, it's all about changing
perspective.
Okay. So you've got perception and perspective. So your perception, we all have 3 different perceptions of this world.
Yep.
And
say that one more time. What are the 3?
Your perception.
Okay.
My perception. I apologize. Tell your name again. Chase's perception. So they're all unique to us.
I see. There's 3 in this room.
Our perception of this world.
Okay.
My perception, I have absolutely no leverage. I have no advantage through my perception. The problem with perceptions is you and I may argue because you want to convince me of your perception, and I want to convince you of my perception of the world. Whereas and this is how you win, people. This is how you win. Tell your son this. This is how he wins. If we can get out of our perception of the world and get into your perception, that gives us perspective. So now, no matter what it is, with my wife, with my boss, with my kids, with whatever, if I can get out of my perception and get into their perception, well, now I have their perspective, and I have superior knowledge. Because now I'm looking at it for
empathy.
That's what
empathy.
Rick sees.
You're putting yourself in their shoes.
My dad always used to use an analogy of, he says everybody has their hard, you know. And I says, and this was like 20 years ago. He says, I remember being at he's an entrepreneur, and he says, I remember being at the desk, sitting there working on my numbers, and they weren't adding up. His books were not balancing.
Right.
And he says, I'm sitting there stressed out. And I thought, my world is a mess, and I don't know how I'm going to figure this out. And your sister, his daughter, walked in, and her arm on her doll had broken, fallen off, and she's sobbing. And he says, at that moment, I thought, wow, this is my world and it's mess, but that's her world. And that's as equally important to her. And so he says, I sat down with her and we fixed the doll's hand, and her world was better. But that always stuck with me on, trying to see it through their eyes. Anybody, like you're saying, because if you can get into their shoes, I do this a lot with my employees, and I think, man, I want to yell at them. And then it's like, man, what are they going through?
Right.
What's their wheelchair? And I love that. That's
and bro,
powerful.
Like you guys both greeted me and the lady downstairs with a smile, a hug.
Yeah.
Bro, everywhere I go, how can I not be happy? I can't lose.
Yeah.
On the real, and I'm not saying that in any type of arrogant way. My team will not allow me to lose. But to get my team, we had to go through hell.
Yeah.
And you see who's going to be there through hell with you. And on the other side of absolute hell, that's your squad. That is your squad.
I always use that. I talk about that in my podcast. It's financial, but I lost everything in the recession. I was homeless. and went from, you know, having parties at my house and, you know, Super Bowl parties and everything, and everybody hanging out and all these friends,
Yep.
which I love them. It's not to take away from them, but I tell everybody, you know, when you lose everything, this was financial, but I sit there on the couch and I'm looking at my grandma, my grandpa, my mom, my dad, my wife, and my newborn son. And it's like, that was who was left in my room. That's my squad. And it's like, okay, I'm going to build a life for us. The rest can still partake, but we're going to travel the world. We're going to fish in Alaska. It's like, you guys are with me and we're going to ride or die. Mm-hmm. And then the others can come in and go. But like you're saying, it's like, whoa, these are
your people, man.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So,
and you have to have that because, you know, I mean, I can't imagine.
You have to have the people in your life that love you enough, that know you well enough in your heart well enough that when you're not reaching your potential, that they can call you out. Mm-hmm. And so when I got home, I didn't walk out of LDS hospital. And
what was that moment? Because you said, I'm firing you. Get out.
So at that moment,
was that a slow process or was that like
I was so scared. I was so scared of everything, man, because I was still trying to be 6'2", 215, which I would never, ever. I was in competition with who I was, and all I wanted, and that's a mind job, man.
Whoa. That's a big statement. Yeah, because you're never going to get back to that.
Ever. But that being said, this guy hasn't experienced
He can't get to this.
He can't do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when I go talk to the patients, like your old life, I don't care if you get up and boogie out of this place. You've experienced more than your previous life has. So you're going to experience this deficit. You may feel it for the rest of your life. You may not. Some people may see it. Some people may not. But it's really up to you how you're going to deal with this. So I got sent home, and I'm in the bathtub, and I am yelling at my wife and saying every horrible thing that you could possibly think of, because I knew she's going to leave me. You know, I'm not 6'2", 215. I'm not. We've been dating. My wife and I have been dating since I was 15 years old. So I've had the same girlfriend for 35 years. We'll celebrate 30 years of marriage March 10th, and I'm in my bathtub. And I'm saying every horrible thing, and she's bawling, and because I just want to rip this Band-Aid off, man. Mm-hmm. And
you almost want to you want to blow up the world.
Oh yeah, because I know everybody's leaving me. You know, I have a past that, and we can get into that later. But the only person that's ever stayed with me is my wife and my kids. But that being said, imagine how arrogant on my team I wasn't afraid to bulldoze people either. Like you either loved me or you did not like me at all.
Before the accident.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now I'm this broken thing. So she says to me, she turns around, tears coming down her face. We're supposed to be going to Lake Powell. And I was terrified to go to Lake Powell, bro, on a houseboat.
He's always in Lake Powell. If he ever doesn't return your call,
that's my jam, dude.
That's his excuse.
Oh, that's my place.
Lake
we
Powell.
ought to do a podcast at Lake
We
Powell
should.
on our houseboat.
We should.
Let's do it.
Let's do it, 100%.
So
I get to come because I'm the producer, right?
Well, you come cook.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can do that
there we
too.
go.
Dude, he's legit.
Outside.
Yeah, dude, he's legit.
tough.
Like, what's it? Where'd you go to school?
Le Cordon Bleu.
Yeah, I always think that's a sandwich. Is that a sandwich?
Just Cordon Bleu is.
Okay.
But technically it's Le Cordon Bleu.
Yeah.
Not blue.
Yeah,
It's
he's
spelled
legit, man.
different.
Yeah. So
Let's line it up,
that'd be
man.
cool. Let's do it.
We'll do a little men's session or something.
Yeah. Okay, so
she turns to me and says, "Look, Matt, look, babe, I didn't marry your legs. I love you." And then she turns around and she's got that in her purse. She grabs out a permanent marker, and then we've got double sinks. And on the corner of my
you're
mirror,
in the tub.
Yep. And on the corner of the mirror, she says, "What kind of day will it be today? You decide."
Whoa.
And she leaves the room, and I see that every morning, bro.
Whoa.
Still to this day, 19 years later. And it's a choice. And I choose to live. I choose to be happy. I choose to go and face these challenges today. What opportunities will come from the challenges I'll face today? Whereas if I'm going through something and I'm going through depression,
100%.
not depressed,
100%.
because I won't wear
Stay there. I'm
there. Depressed. Well, what?
Yeah.
I'm going through it. So I pushed my body. I regained the ability to walk 15 years later. 15 years of a goal. That's how stubborn I am, bro. That's how
dedicated,
crazy I am.
Yeah.
I really, like, even for me to look at myself, I'm crazy. Dude, I am crazy.
Yeah.
And regain the ability to walk with forearm crutches anywhere. Put my wheelchair away. I'm walking around town in a walker and with one single point cane.
My mom said that when you came and spoke, you were walking.
Yeah. Dude.
It's amazing.
And my little girl, she's now pushing my body that hard with all those rods and screws and doing impossible things. I walked up to that physician's office. We drove all the way up to Salt Lake, go into his office. I'm standing in his doorway. I've got forearm crutches. I just walked from the parking lot in the elevator up, standing in his doorway.
The one you fired?
Yep. It's been 8 years. And I say, do you remember me? And he did, because I was a shitbird, man. He's like, David Blanchard, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he said, well, what can I help you with? And I said, you told me I would never do this. And he's like, well, what's that? And I said, you told me I would never walk. And he looked right at me. And he says, well, you're not. Not without assisted devices, you're not. And he got up from behind his desk, right where you're at, and he walked right by me and out the door.
Whoa.
And I walked down to my car, and I bawled my eyes out. I'm 30 at this time. I was 39. And I went down to St. George, came back to St. George, and I worked harder. Every day.
Right.
And every day in therapy, pushing my body, and when it wouldn't go anymore, I would think of that physician and him telling me, this is impossible. You cannot do this. And I would force my body. I had such hatred for this physician. Hatred. And he was driving me from 400 miles away. He was in every therapy with me. So I get to the point where I just got my single point cane now, and we're practicing the daddy-daughter dance, and things are great. And my daughter's going to get married September 25th of 2021. Well, pushing my body that hard came at a price, and the price was pain. And I very quickly became dependent on Oxycontin. And so they sent me home from LDS Hospital on Oxy 10s and Loratab 5s. And at that time, I didn't know what these drugs were. I knew that when I took these drugs, I could push my body hard, like hard, man. And I could do impossible things. And I very quickly became dependent on pain medication. So I'm not an addict.
Not necessarily the feeling. It's like that's a different way to look at it. It's not, you weren't trying to get high.
Right.
It was the abilities it gave you.
Whoa.
Not at first. Not at first.
Right.
Not at
Right.
first.
Right.
So,
Right.
so we're 7 years into this,
which
thing.
would be hard because that's an easy justification for me.
Yeah.
Bro.
In the beginning, it's like, hey man, if I don't do this, I can't do that.
Right. And that's how it was.
That's tough.
And so over this 8-year period, I went from Oxy 10s to Oxy 80s, 3 80s a day. And then I was taking a drug called Roxycontin. It's a pure opiate. And I was taking 25 of those a day. So basically like fentanyl today. And
I'm
so,
trying to think about that. I'm like, because I was prescribed something very similar.
Yeah, Roxy's.
At one point in my life. And I'm like thinking, you were on Oxys and Roxysets?
Yeah. So they gave me the Oxys for my long-term pain, whatever the hell that is.
I don't know.
And then they give me my perks and whatever for my breakthrough
like
pain.
instance?
Yeah, for whatever that is.
So did they
too.
say you were going to be on this forever? The long term? I mean, the
Yeah,
long term,
yeah.
it's like, hey, this is.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And so every morning I'd wake up, take my Oxy. So I'm 480 pills every 2 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, and I've got the same doctor and the same pharmacist the whole time. I'm not shopping. I'm not doing it, but I am.
They're aware of what's happening. It's prescribed.
390 milligrams a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
But they're like, he's paralyzed. Make him happy.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, look at all those rods and screws. Of course he's in pain.
Yeah.
You know? So I had the best excuse of my life. And after 8 years, and I'm walking.
8 years.
But I'm
doing
not.
8 years
Oh,
you
yeah.
did it?
Oh, bro.
8
Holy
years.
cow.
And now I got the ability to walk with a cane, but I'm not playing basketball. I'm not running. And that's where my mind was. It's like, I'm not playing basketball yet. I'm not running marathons yet. I'm not climbing. I'm not hiking yet. So, okay, great that I'm doing this thing with a cane, but I got other things to do. And I became dependent on pain medication heavily to where I knew I had a problem. And the longest I'd made it without taking an opiate was 18 hours. And I had tried countless times by myself, not telling anybody. Because you've got your friends and your family they know.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're telling you, well, you've got a problem. Oh, by the way, you're not allowed in my house anymore. Oh, why do you go right to the bathroom? Yeah, that's me, guys. It's me.
Yeah.
And so I get this to the point where I'm done with this. And I called my doctor. His name's Dr. Stephen Clark. He's here in town. He saved my life many times. I love him. And I said, I got done with therapy. My little girl and my wife picked me up from therapy. I take my Oxy. I take my Roxys. I let it sink in. And if anybody, you're just like, oh, there it is. And my little girl from the back seat, because this was a big problem, 12 years old, she said, hey, Mom, what are all those pills Dad takes? Hey, Mom, are they really going to kill Dad? Grandpa, well, why can't, just asking all these questions. And I think, you know what, I'm done with this shit. I'm done. And so I called Dr. Clark, and I'm like, hey, Dr. Clark, I've been lying to you for years. I've been taking my Oxys for my emotional pain, not for my physical pain. Because I don't like the fact that after 8 years of pushing my body and giving everything I had, that I'm still not walking, at least the way I wanted to walk. I mean, I'd gone to China and received 70 million stem cells into my back. I've done therapies all over the nation. I was all in, man. All in on walking. So I told Dr. Clark I'm done. And he's like, whoa. You're taking 390 milligrams a day. That's the highest I've ever seen any patient. You're going to need to get it on Suboxone or methadone to deal with your withdrawals. And I say, well, what's Suboxone? What's methadone? And he says, we give this drug to heroin addicts when they're coming off. And I'm like, well, time out. Now I'm snowed. Okay, I'm snowed in the front seat. And I'm like, I'm not a heroin addict. I don't need Suboxone. I don't need, I'm going cold turkey. Click. I had no idea the hell to come.
Oh, yeah.
From that one decision. Now going through that decision, now I didn't realize it at the time. It's only been recently, you guys, that I've realized that the decisions I've made through my life affect so many people. My kids have gone through addiction and seen addiction and smelt addiction.
Through their own or through you?
Through me.
Not their own, though?
Right, not their own.
Good.
Because they saw the shit.
Good.
I think, and if that's why my kids never touched drugs,
I was gonna say,
then I would do that again.
Yeah, I was going to say that might be a blessing and a curse.
100%. So I decided to get clean. My dad came down. He took a leave of absence from the military, and my brother came up from California, and I was under a 24-hour intervention. My dad came in the house, gives me a big old hug. I'm on the couch, grabs my wheelchair, and puts it in the garage. I wasn't going anywhere. Nowhere. I decided to get clean, and they were there to make sure it happened. And
did they ever try to get you clean? Did they ever try to get you clean?
Yeah. And
so it's like we were talking earlier.
Yeah.
I can't fix it for you.
Bro.
They knew that they couldn't. I mean, they tried, but it took you to call them.
100%.
Okay.
I'll give you the 411 on someone who's going through addiction. If you call them out, they're going to get pissed.
Yeah.
Because they're ashamed. And that's coming straight from an addict.
Oh, yeah.
Or someone who's gone through addiction. And believe me, I was getting called out by a lot of people. And look at my x-ray. What are you talking about, bro? What do you mean I'm not in pain? Look at that x-ray.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. There it is. That's the ace in the hole.
Right.
How are you going to argue with that?
Right.
So the thing with, I made it through 3 days. I didn't sleep, going crazy. You feel like you have bugs, like I still have scars. You feel like you have bugs inside of your bones. Like narcotic withdrawals are the most hellacious thing I've ever experienced in my life. Paralysis is a distant second to narcotics. Oh, dude.
Interesting.
Oh.
Interesting.
So you're sick. You can't get any more meds because you just told the guy that you get your meds from, you don't give me any more meds. And you start to stink because all these chemicals are leaving your system. I smelled like sulfur, like rancid urine. Day 3, I'm on the shower floor in my own vomit and diarrhea. I couldn't sit up without vomiting. And my wife's controlling the temperature of the water as I'm just fetal position on the shower floor. And I'm yelling obscenities at her. You don't love me. I wish I'd never met you. What kind of wife are you?
This is how long after paralysis?
This is 8 years. 8 years after
8
paralysis.
years of being with you.
Yeah, because I wanted
100%.
an Oxycontin, period, the end.
Yeah.
I would have given anything,
No, I get it.
bro.
I get it. Yeah,
I
no.
would have given my dreams of walking. I would have given. It's insane.
The thoughts you go through.
The grass. It's like the devil snatched my soul. Kid you not.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no way, in my opinion. I'm a strong person. Mentally, I don't know. I'm not tooting my horn. I don't know very many people that are more mentally strong than me. And there's no way I could have done what I did without people, without help. That's the power of opiates.
So somebody's out there going through it.
Oh,
grab somebody.
Yeah.
Grab somebody.
And if they yell at you and they get mad at you, they know that's their
love.
shame
Yeah,
coming out.
yeah.
And so here it is. So day 3, day 1, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is gonna kill me. Day 2,
Which it can kill you.
oh, you're right,
It can, right?
100%. Oh,
So you're
dude.
playing with fire.
Like looking back on it, like
You
I
could've-
think, what the hell did I?
You could
What
have
did I
died.
do?
Yeah.
And so day 3, still no sleep. I'm on the shower floor, thinking this is gonna kill me. Day 4 is the worst day. Day 4 is the day you realize this isn't gonna kill me. I'm gonna actually freaking live through this shit.
Yep.
That's interesting.
It's weird how it's that many
That's
days.
the worst days when you realize it's
I'm
not going to end.
Yeah.
Well,
And-
you know that
'cause you
you're
wanted it to
through
end.
Like you're through it to the point where like you come to the realization like I'm not on drugs anymore. And,
Yeah.
And like you're like I'm gonna be okay. And then you're like, I had like really bad anxiety. It was weird. Like
Did you go
months and
through that,
months-
bro?
Yeah, months and months of anxiety.
Not
like
opioids,
even
though, right? You were.
No, I took.
Oh, I
I
thought it
broke
was
my back when I
alcohol.
was 16.
Oh, I thought it was
And so I
alcohol.
was on painkillers for long time, and very similar. You know, I ended up on 3 80s a day, and
Crazy.
And then after that, like 90 Roxasets a month. You know?
Right.
And you didn't. I just go to the doctor, and
bet.
they'd give them to me. You know, and I was just working nonstop all the time. You know, at one of the Dragon Ridge Country Club in Vegas, and it was just, you know, like it was just kind of how I survived. You know, I that's what, you know, my back was, I was overweight, pretty good amount, and I was in a lot of pain, and they just give them to me, and you don't realize
Right, dude.
until it's too late. Like,
Right.
and then you're like, okay, I can manage this, and it's not manageable.
Anybody who's listening who's gone through this is great that because I've never had the opportunity to speak to somebody else that's gone through it like this.
Yeah.
And just the anxiety that comes with, oh my gosh, where I took an extra 2 pills, but now I'm at the end of the month and I'm 17 short.
Yeah.
Where am I going to make up that? Oh, I've got to lie to my doctor and say, oh, I'm in more pain. It's vicious.
I remember
bro.
talking to Woody. So Woody, he's a partner here. I grew up with him. I met him in like high school. He was a heroin addict. And that's one of my stories is where I was hanging out with them and they were all getting into some pretty rough drugs. And my dad says, you can't, soar with the eagles if you run with the turkeys. And I walked around and kissed all them on the head after a party one night. Woody was in the room. Says, I love you boys, but I got to go do something different. And he went down a deep hole of like 8 or 10 years of heroin. And he always talked about that. He says, I used to be more afraid of running out of heroin than anything. That was my biggest fear in life, was running and not having enough heroin to get to the end of the week or the month. And I'm like, whoa.
It overtakes you like hunger.
It's your every
anything.
freaking
like,
thought.
It's just
Really,
this
hunger
is-
overtakes.
well,
Oh, it doesn't
you don't
matter.
even eat really. Like it's minuscule.
Yep.
You know, like you're literally powered by your
100%.
opioids.
100%.
That's wild.
100%.
That's your calories,
Yeah.
It's just the weirdest thing, man.
That is
to go
wild.
through.
It's crazy, man.
which so many people are.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So
They need to hear this.
like when people relapse, they need love, man. They don't need somebody saying, "What the hell? Why did you da 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 da?" We're already ashamed enough as it is, man. Like we get it. This thing has a power over me that I don't want it to have this power. But it's my first thought in the morning. It's the last thing I do at night. All throughout the day, you can't go anywhere without your meds and making sure you can get loaded.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So you're in the tub.
my wife would leave. My dad would come in,
Oh, yeah.
and he'd start controlling the temperature of the water. And I'd light my dad up, that Marine, and say horrible things, man. And then
how did your wife cried?
Yeah.
What'd your dad do?
Oh, bro.
Did he yell back?
Mm-mm.
No. Interesting.
No, he took it.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
From what you said about him, he he's not the person to take it.
Right. He loved me enough to watch me suffer, man. And I think that's a lost trait with parents and kids.
Especially
I think
dads.
parents want to be their kid's friend. My kids are old now, like 27, 25, 23, and I'm their friend now. But I was their father, period, the end. Not their friend as they're being raised. I feared my dad.
Well, and that's for me. Like
I think that's important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that's the hierarchy.
Yeah.
I think that's how you have structure. But at the same time, I'm thinking of my son, and he's again 13. But I'm the type of personality. I don't know your father, but I always want to be in control.
Oh yeah.
And so to see my son, and I can't fix it. And it's like, man, I love you. I would die for you, which your dad would have. It's like, that's where it would be very difficult. Have you ever talked to him? Did you talk to him when he was alive? Never.
I always dressed my dad as sir, and I knew he loved me, and he knew.
How long has he been gone?
Since 19.
Okay.
February. He passed the day after my birthday, February 26th of 2019, just before all the COVID bullshit happened.
My grandpa died, who was my hero and best friend. He died in April of 19.
Wow.
And I always say it was a blessing because he would have gone crazy with COVID and Biden.
100%. Dude, 100%.
I'm like, I miss you, Gramp, more than anything in this world. But, man, you got out good.
Yep.
But,
So he'd leave the room. Now I'm still on the shower floor, and they would send my little girl in, that little 12-year-old, and she would start adjusting the temperature. And I would light my little girl up, that little 12-year-old. And so when I say my family has gone through addiction, they've seen it, they've smelt it, they've heard it, they've touched it, and
that's what I don't think people understand. Is you said what was on the bottom of the mirror? What'd she write? What's today going to be?
Yeah, what kind of day will it be today? You decide.
It's like, and you said, so I choose to wake up, and and it's like I know that you try to choose to wake up.
Yes.
And that's what I think people listening, it's like they see. Like they hear me travel in the world and, retired at 36. And it's like, man, do you think that I don't go home and have bad days and think I'm not going to do today? Today's not going to be a good day. It's just not, that's real.
And
right?
9 times out of 10, it's not, right? Because that's what we're focused on.
Yeah. It's like, but as long as you have it there and you try to regroup. And like I said, I love that you said, I went through addiction.
Yeah.
I go through bad days.
Right.
I go through bad moments.
Right.
But they don't define you and you come out the other side. And
Right.
I think that's where the big difference is. A lot of people give in, or they, that wins, or they get that victim mentality of this is happening to me. And you had said, it's on your Instagram, right?
You
it
bet.
says, life is,
life happens for us, not to us.
For our greater good.
1,000%, because if you think that it's happening, if things are directly trying to hurt you, how could you get up out of bed?
Right.
And it's like, but if you can spin that and say, hey, this is what can come of this.
Every obstacle is growth.
100%, bro. And so many people struggle with who they are, their purpose, where they're going. I mean, and it all ranges of life, all ages. And it's a decision. It's a decision. And if you focus, if you're hanging around people and all they ever talk about, I'm so broke, I just don't make enough money, I can't pay my bill, that's what they're attracting to them
I'm
day
like,
long.
go.
Whether you attract abundance, man, it's come, and I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, people like me, I'm the man, I'm beautiful, I've always been beautiful, so
I can walk.
I can,
it's like just go down the line, like you said. There's a cartoon, and it has a guy like running. And a guy said, or I can't, I'm going to mess it up, but it's basically a transition of people, like you're saying, where I wish I could walk. I wish I could, and it has a guy in a wheelchair and then a guy on a bike. And it's,
yep. I wish I could put my, So the one guy's complaining about he doesn't have shoes. And then the next guy's complaining, he doesn't even have feet to put the shoes
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And then the next guy doesn't have legs, so he's, this guy has at least prosthetics so he can go run. This guy doesn't even have legs, so he's in a chair. So yeah, my dad would always say it, man. It can always be worse.
Yep.
It can always be worse.
I have I look at it all the time, but it looks like a folded up pieces of paper, and it literally just says shit could be worse, and it's just like it could.
Yep.
And I can throw that in there. I could throw a whole bunch of things at myself and be like, this could be happening, this could be happening, but also I don't like to think like that.
Right. No,
you got to be on the positive
100%.
side of things, even if things are raining. If it's raining on you, just everything's hit the fan.
Could be worse. We could be in a drought.
Well, just like anything, you could be like, I could have no food, I could have no house. Like there's a million things that you could be without and then struggling through that are not even relevant, but you're always focusing on that pain in the moment.
100%.
Well, I started my second company in Tijuana, Mexico, and I was down there. And I spent a lot. I had a partner, Hector Garcia, and he was older. He was probably when I was 25, he was probably 55, something like that. So he was older than me, and I looked up to him. He was a mentor. He was very wealthy, and anyway, so we would go around and have lunch and stuff at times. And we were driving down one day, and we were driving down the road, and I says, "Hey, Hector, how come the United States, what's the word, where you kill yourself?
Suicide?
Suicide rate.
Yeah.
How come the suicide rate in America is so much higher than Mexico? That doesn't make sense to me because in America we have everything." And he says, and we're driving down the road, and he says, "You see that lady right there, Rick?" And he pointed at a lady that was going down to the river to get water in Mexico, in Tijuana. And he says, "See that lady right there? She's going down to get water because she's poor." And he says, "In America, you guys have so much free time on your hands. You're so blessed. You're so blessed that you have so much abundance that you're left to sit there on the couch and say, how do I feel today?" And he says, that lady doesn't have time for that shit.
Right.
She's got to go get food and water to feed her family. And he says, so we're busy living and you guys are busy. And I thought, and that was at 26 years old. And I've never forgot that. But I thought, there is something in that to where you can honestly be so blessed that you lose sight of how blessed you are.
Yep.
I had a professor at the University of Utah, and I always tell this story. And he says, it was a finance class. And he says, who here lives in a home? And we all raise our hand. And he says, who here has a car at their house? You didn't have this professor, did you?
No.
And we all raise our hand. He says, who here has their own car that they drove here today? We all raise our hand. He says, who here has change in the ashtray of your car? And we all raise our hand. And he says, if you pour that ashtray into your hand, you're more wealthy than 98% of the people on earth.
Dang. Wow.
Not the car.
Nope.
Not the house. Not
the change.
The change in the ashtray makes you worth more than 90% of the people on planet Earth. And I've never
forgot about that.
Yeah, it's like, holy cow, dude. And that's the thing is it's so many people. It's like, if you could wake up every morning, really wake up. And I'm not a big meditator. I know there's several things that billionaires do. They read books.
Yep.
They continue to learn. They meditate.
Affirmations.
There's all these things.
Yep.
And for me to sit out there and just be like, and I don't do that. But if you could sit there for 20 minutes, and I do this, I get in the hot tub every morning. And I sit there and I think, man, my kids are healthy.
Yep.
I've got a roof over my head. It's like,
so you have a gratitude list.
Go through your things of that day. And sometimes they change, Today I can walk.
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to think about that, and it's like, whoa.
Well, and it's interesting too, because what you talk about is, it's the attitude of gratitude. Like if you're focusing constantly on the things that you are thankful for and grateful for, you don't have time, much like the gentleman said, to think about all the things that are going wrong.
Right.
So like if you constantly run those things through your head, you don't have that time. You're not focusing on the things. So, if you're a believer in manifestation, the things that you think about, you bring about. So that whole aspect, if you're thinking about things that are bad, well, guess what you're going to bring about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so if you're constantly thinking about the positive and having no thought towards anything that could go wrong or bad, in my position, that happens for me all the time. I have a no-fail mindset, and I just 100% drive. Yes, I've failed, at certain times. Like, I don't know how, but like if you don't have it, like you won't even realize that it's happening.
Right.
You'll shift and make things happen as it's going.
Yes.
As you run into
and you'll
obstacles.
adjust. You'll just tweak one thing, go again.
Yep.
Tweak one thing, go again.
Exactly.
Failing forward, man. Shaquille O'Neal tells a story, about he had a horrible game in Orlando, and his dad calls him because Shaquille's acting like a baby. His dad calls him, and his dad's in the military too. We had a lot alike that way. And his dad said, "Meet me at 4 a.m." Meets him at 4 a.m. Yes, sir. Gets in the car, and he says, "If my dad didn't talk, then you don't speak until spoken to." Same with my house.
Interesting.
So they drive all the way to the viaduct, and in Miami, and they're sitting there, and the dad says, "Watch right there." And dad comes out of a tent, and gets ready. He's getting ready for work to go to work, and this is in Florida. And Shaquille's dad turns to him and says, "That guy knows what real stress, real pressure is."
Wow.
When you're sitting here complaining and acting like a baby because you can't hit a foul shot, that guy's trying to support. And his wife comes out and his little kids, that guy knows what pressure is. He's like, I don't want to ever see you act like that again. Or anything. Like Shaquille's dad was on point, if you ask me.
1,000%.
So it's just times we just don't know. We live in abundance. And if we can see that, then hey, sky's the limit. Go get it. Go fail forward. Let's go.
Well, I love it, man. I could talk to you all day.
We didn't even get to the second accident.
I
told
know.
you.
We got to. Let's do another one.
Let's do it.
Let's do another
Let's
one.
do it.
I really want to.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack here.
This has been. I've done 50 podcasts now. This is one of my favorite.
Thanks, brother.
It really is. It's not. It's somebody. I shouldn't even say it, but I have family members. I'll just be vague. But they're starting a podcast, and they're like 19 years old. And my dad. I was just a fly in the room, and my dad says, "What are you starting a podcast on?" And they says, how to navigate life. And my dad was like, "What? Like what are you?"
19.
Yeah.
But to speak to somebody like you that's been there and done that, and lived through it, and can inspire and have such a good attitude is, for me. I hope for the listeners, and I'm sure, but for me it is. There's just very few things that are more impactful. And like I said, those 2 movies that I want you to watch.
Yeah.
Those are my top movies. I love Gladiator. I love
Me too.
Braveheart.
Love it.
Like those are good movies, but these ones are just as good.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is
Last of the
about them,
Mohicans.
but I just I'm like I cheer the human spirit.
Yeah.
And you are the epitome of that. And what I like about it, what's so good about it, and I commend you on this, is being raw and real and going into those places that a lot of people would be like, you know what, I'm going to keep that, I'm going to keep the yelling at my 12-year-old. I'm going to shelf that one, And I think that's with people listening out there. We listen to a lot of these podcasts, me as well, growing up. And it's you hear a lot of the good stuff, right? The highlight reels.
Right.
And even the people who come on, it's like, yeah, I struggled, but I overcame it. And it's like, I want to know that. I really do.
The comeback story.
Yeah, and I want to know the details. The details are where I think people kind of, we can kind of go over them a little quicker, and that's where I think the meat on the bone is.
Yeah,
100%.
It's like, man, when you're
when you don't
sobbing in the car.
When I don't want to live anymore, and I literally am in the shower with a gun, and I've got it all fixed because I wanted to be as clean as possible.
Yeah, we didn't get there. I didn't know this.
No, we haven't got there yet either, bro.
Jeez.
So I'm sitting there. And,
when was this?
Right when I got home. I was done, man. I didn't
So months
walk out of there.
later?
Yeah. So it was
3 months?
probably 3-4 months later. And I'm still competing with who I was, and I'll never achieve that. And so I was just going to end it. And so I'm in the shower, and I realize the first person that will find me is my 4-year-old coming home from elementary school on the bus. And that's the reason why I'm talking with you today. That's the one and only thing. My youngest son. So again, there's another decision that would have impacted so many people that I didn't think of anybody but myself, man.
I always tell people, suicide to me is the most selfish
it totally is.
thing you can do. And I understand that they're
I've almost
broken
done
and that they obviously don't care. But man, I'm glad you didn't.
You leave such a big hole, bro. All of us, anybody going through something, and we're all going through something. We all have our wheelchairs.
Oh yeah.
Just get the door for people, man. Smile at people. We can change the whole world with eye contact and a smile. No words. It costs us nothing. It costs us nothing. So yeah,
I've told my kids a big thing for me. My dad. So my dad passed away at 28. He was in the military. I wasn't born. My mom was pregnant with me. He died in January, and I was born in May.
wow.
And he just got sick, got like a flu, and it ruptured and caused a brain aneurysm.
Wow.
So she was pregnant with me, 2 kids, a 3-year-old and a 6-year-old, my brother and sister. And she said she would have killed herself if I wasn't in her belly.
Dude.
She says the only reason I'm here was you were in me.
You know,
and I'm
that's
like,
a trippy thing because, well, my mom said something like most of my life before she passed away, and she would always tell me I saved her life, and I've never figured out what that meant.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, what could have been going on in my mom's life? You know, at that point in time.
Because we all need purpose, bro.
Yeah.
And especially with kids, like with your mom, you gave her purpose. That's what I think.
Yeah.
You
No, it
gave
had to
her
be
purpose.
something
well, it
around
becomes, you know, my mom was wanting to die.
Mm-hmm.
It was her. She had been with my dad since 7th grade. And converted him to LDS, married in the temple. I mean, he was a wild guy, and she got him to come over. And, you know, but she didn't because of me. So she was able to set aside that selfishness and you know, not take my life as well, because I would have went with her.
Yeah.
And, but it's very, you know, she would tell me, she says, I remember she'd go in the bathroom, and the kids are out playing in the front room, and she'd put a washcloth in her mouth and scream and scream and curse God, you know. And she says, I remember laying there in bed thinking, I've got to get through this minute. And then it'd click over, and I got to get through this minute. And it's like, those are the details.
That's
Like,
insane.
yeah, you hear somebody say,
though.
my dad died, she was pregnant with me, sad story.
Yeah.
But then you hear about her shoving a washcloth in her mouth and screaming so that the kids couldn't hear, or watching the clock on the wall thinking, I have to get through this minute. That's real.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
That's where you get down to like people that are going through stuff.
Yeah.
That is where you get to a level of, understanding.
It's an amazing place to be.
Yeah.
Being utterly broken is amazing. Right.
It pushes you
and I
to things that you never would have gotten to otherwise. Like, I would never have the relationship with God that I have without being utterly destroyed. Like, it was, you know, like you feel like nothingness, and you just, you know, you don't remember any of the people that care about you. Like, it's just like this feeling of that you're not good enough to be a part of anybody's life.
Just
you
hopeless.
Know?
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, the things that come out, like my mom met Kendall, which is my stepdad, which they got married when I was 3.
Yeah.
All I've ever known, beautiful human. I commend stepdads to this, good stepdads.
Yeah.
There's going to be some bad ones. But he stepped in and raised 3 kids with his other 2 kids, you know, and it's like, I never would have known him. And so, like you said, you know, there's things that, and my mom,
happened for her.
Yeah, she still cries. She still sees a flag. She still, and my point with that was when you said hold doors, that's where I was going with that was, I'm very patriotic. My first, when we left 8 years ago, and I could finally afford to leave the country, which I had never had before then, was we went to Normandy. And I wanted to stand on the beaches of Normandy and tell my kids, those are my heroes, you know? And so we went there and played in the waves but I go around any person I ever see wearing a hat that says veteran. I walk up and I say, thank you for your service.
You bet.
And I had a guy the other day, we were at SHOT Show and old guy was walking by and I said, were you with me?
No, I'm just saying,
Oh,
yeah, we're there.
Seth was with me. And I says, hey, sir, appreciate your service. Thank you so much. And he says, you were worth it.
Yeah, there you go. I like that.
And I says, oh my gosh, that's the best one I've got. But now my boys
I've started doing that
everywhere, everywhere. And it's like you said,
it's
just
way more special to get it from the young generation, I think, you know, because there's just not enough respect for it out there anymore.
He had one the other day. He had one the other day that he said it to, and the guy says, I haven't heard that in a long time. Thank you, son.
Wow.
See, it's just
and, you know, and it's like, but like you're saying, just
it's like chivalry. You know,
but if you could have,
100%.
if you can have 5 people touch 5 lives,
Dude,
right? It's such an easy math problem.
If we had the challenge, like the legit challenge, like in the 3 of us, the challenge today was how many people can we infect? Watch out.
Watch out.
And if everybody watching this had that same damn thing, and I'm just asking for one person, just get the door for one person, eye contact, smile. Don't even have to say anything. But if we made it a challenge, oh, game on.
And I dare you to go do that and not feel good.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
That's the other thing. My boy Castle now, he'll walk up and say, hey, sir, thank you for your service. And the guy will say, thank you. And it makes the guy smile.
Yep.
Castle, I says, watch Gino watch. And Castle turns around and he's like, and I'm like, he got something too. You get something too.
You know, the lady.
What a good transaction.
Didn't cost you anything.
Didn't cost you
No.
anything.
Not a
And
thing.
both feel it.
100%. If it's authentic and genuine, you bet your butt. And the lady that's been there for 8 hours checking out your groceries, standing on that mat. I just want to. I see you. I appreciate you. Your job is challenging.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, people just want to be seen for hell's sakes. Like I work at the university, teach anatomy on Mondays and Wednesdays, and if there's a student walking down the hall with their head down, I will literally go to the other side of the hall. And they'll see me, and they'll go to the other, and I'll come right over, and I'll be like, "Hey, my name's Matt Blanchard. I'm a professor here. What's your name?" And I'll ask them their name, and then I'll fist bump, whatever. Say, "Just want you to know I saw you. You look good," and give them a compliment on something, right?
Well, that's what I tell my boys all the time. I says, don't just say hi.
Yeah.
Add one more sentence. Hi, I like your shirt. Hi, you're better looking than me. You gave me one already, and I'm happy. I can't get off it. I'm just like over here
that smile.
glowing. Oh my God. But it's a simple. It's just a little bit more, and man, what a difference it makes.
You're right. When we started this out, people want to talk about themselves. That they really do. And even more than that, here is the secret sauce, you guys. You can talk to anybody who has children. Anybody. Talk about their kids. Everybody loves their damn kids. Everybody does. Even if their kids are a shitbird like I was, they're going to find a way and get them talking about their kids. And now you see what their kids are into, what they're into. So much information because you're not talking about you. You're manipulating. You're collecting
100%,
information.
100%.
So,
And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I get teased, and when we go to Hawaii, I go with all my buddies, and I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
I talk to everybody. They tease me.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, here goes Rick." And my mom does it. My mom. It's funny because we'll walk around and be like, "Well, she has a new friend now in Homer, Alaska, and she has a new friend here," and I just must have got it from her. But I love to talk, and they tease me about it, and I'm like, "Dude, I have friends all over this world."
Yeah.
From just saying hi. I can stay in my lane. I can put my head down, but the world is so much better if you don't.
100%. You know, especially in town, like I'm not allowed to go if they're going, I can't go anywhere, Costco, anywhere, because I speak so often in town, and people will come up to me, "Hey, do you remember me?" And I'm like, "Bro, sorry," or like, "Girlfriend, sorry, I didn't."
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, we were talking about one of my most special ones in Colorado 2 weeks ago. The most special event that I've ever been a part of. It was at high school. And after I spoke, I always get mobbed by the kids after. Mobbed. It's fun. I love it. And we're up on stage, and the principal's in the back, and there's a teacher in the back, and then there's a girl in all gray sweatpants and a sweat top, and she's just kind of rocking back and forth. And all these kids are mobbing me, but I'm looking. And anyway, these kids leave, and this girl comes up to me, and she says, "My name's Jessica, and I'm autistic, and I don't like touching people, but I want to give you a hug." Because in my presentation, we talk about this kind of stuff. And I kind of looked at the teacher's crying, the principal's just, and so I kind of just opened up like this, and I let her come into me, and she's just really rigid. And so I whispered in her ear, I said, "Jessica, I want you to know you are just beautiful." And that girl melted into me, and we embraced long enough that I was starting to get a little uncomfortable. And now they're both crying, and we stop, and the teacher takes Jessica, and they go to class. And the principal comes up to me and says, "I've known that girl her whole life, and I have never seen her touch anyone." So I was there that day for Jessica, period, the end. And so when I speak, there's somebody in the crowd that needs to hear, and I just tell my story. And then they pick out
Parts that relate to them.
like everybody's familiar with this guy, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He told stories. He told parables. And if Jesus were here or whatever, and he told a parable, we would all take something different because that's what I needed in my life. And you'd be like, "Hey, did you that part?"
Right?
And I'm like, "Oh, dang, I missed that part. But did you get this part?"
Yeah.
So that's all I do. And I'll tell you what, I am a tool for God, or whatever you believe in, the universe, energy, whatever. I'm in a flow state, so it's not my way anymore.
Yeah.
I finally, after 2 accidents, 2 addictions, having walking taken from me twice.
Dang, man.
I know, bro.
Oh, we got to do another one. So you did it again.
Yep.
Bro.
You went through addiction again.
So, and I'll just give you bullet points. So when I'm in the helicopter and you've got the nurse and the 2 pilots and they pushed Dilaudid. And I was like, wait, whoa, time out. I can't have pain medication. I've been clean for 8 years. And they're like, well, you're busted up. You know, you're above your injury. You're busted. I was in a lot of pain. And I'm like, all right. And so they pushed Dilaudid. And instantly, just like the devil coming and snatching my soul again. Whoa. And I was hooked for 3 years.
In life flight.
Oh, in life flight. So I was hooked in for another 3 years. But
what did you find in that?
Was
there anything good in that?
My team, and believe me, when I got hooked again, I was like, nope. Because when I got off the first time, I was like, I will never do that again because there's no way I can.
Yeah.
Like
I won't make it out.
I got sober from alcohol 7 times.
Oh, bro, right?
Yeah.
Bro.
It was so bad.
How long have you been sober now?
10 years.
Atta babe. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Just last December 15th.
Congratulations.
That's a big deal.
It was a big one for me because of the fact that I felt like I was just hammered for 10 years. You know, like I was heavy and like, you know, like I said, with, I forget what guess, but a half gallon of a day of vodka. And I just, every single day. And, it's like,
yeah.
Every single morning I'd wake up and be like, I don't want to drink today.
Right.
But I could not function without drinking. And so it was like, in order to live.
Function.
No,
dude.
No, you can't.
I would be like this.
Yes.
No joke. This much trembling.
Wow.
I would not be able to function. I'd be puking everywhere. Just walking around puking. I couldn't hold down water, nothing. And like that situation is something that changed me, like especially going it through as many times as I did and like trying to use crutches to get through it and then just really just nailing it down and being like, I'm not doing this again,
Dude.
And to like every time I think about the fact that I did it 7 times and like it can kill you every single time. And it's like, what in the world?
So I'm on these pain medication again. I didn't want to leave the hospital on the pain med, but yes, I did. Yeah. Let's be honest. And so I'm on this pain medication, and my doctor, my wife, my family, my team, we all have a meeting, and we say, on this date, you're done. You have pills from here to here. Do whatever the hell you want with them. But on this date, you're done. And, of course, I abused.
Yeah.
And that day came, but I was short on this day.
Yeah.
And so I'm 3 days into this thing, and I need meds, and everybody, nope, sorry, because they know my heart, they know where I want to be. Yep. So you know where we went? Lake Powell. And I detoxed at Lake Powell, bro.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I tell everybody I've been to 71 countries. Lake Powell's my favorite place on earth.
Right,
dude. And it's a lot with my grandpa, my grandma. There's so many memories there, but man, what a beautiful.
Oh my gosh.
What a place.
Have you been, bro? Have you been to Lake?
I've been to Lake Powell.
Unbelievable. It's spiritual for me.
It is.
Spiritual.
It is.
I just, lots of things. I mean, that I've went through there, and family memories, houseboats, injuries.
Yes.
I remember I jumped off the second story of a houseboat my buddy had, and we were in dock, and I hit the pole.
Ouch.
Underneath the water, like bam.
Oh my hell!
And nobody was around. Like
the power pole, like the
power
where they run the
where it
electrical
holds the dock together. Yeah, dude, I just rammed into that thing, and I'm like, I had the biggest bruise all down my arm.
That's lucky.
Old, huge, yeah. And I'm like holding on to the boat, like just nearly knocked out. Like just. Dude. I remember it. It was like the day after my birthday.
A lot of people get paralyzed over there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Tons.
Cliff jumping and stuff.
yeah.
I tell my boys, I'm like, man, you gotta,
Yeah.
we gotta go dive down and see what's down here before we hop off because it scares me.
We got to talk about second accident. We got to talk about second addiction.
Yeah.
We got to talk about daddy-daughter dance at a wedding.
Yeah.
We got to talk about how you show up in the world. We got a lot of things to talk about, man.
Let's do it again. Let's try to put something together. Maybe I'll be back in
July. 2 years.
Yeah, well, I'm coming back.
2 years.
Listen, I can go out. Let's see. Will you just text me?
Yeah. Sit by your phone. Wait by your phone, man.
There we go.
Sorry, bro. I was in Australia 2 years ago.
That's good.
Yeah. Let's see if we can put something together. Maybe I'll be home July for like a week.
Done. So we didn't even talk about my book. We didn't talk about my foundation.
You have a book?
Bro.
I did not know that.
Into the editor right now.
Okay.
Yep. So it's not out yet.
Okay.
We're trying to July. We're trying to launch in July.
Oh, that'd be a perfect time then.
Yeah.
Let's do it then.
And then my foundation, my nonprofit.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So let's do the second one.
So much.
But how do people find you?
Oh yeah, please. So the best way to find me, you can Google Matt Blanchard or go to mattblanchardinspires.com. or mattblanchardinspires.org would be the nonprofit. Anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, just put.
You do speaking engagements. People can
Oh yeah.
hire you to come out and speak.
You can either, I think my phone numbers, my wife does all that stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, you can book me on the website. We DM me, book me, whatever. So I will tell you this. Anybody who's listening,
Spell your last name. It's
Blanchard.
Okay.
So
just
Matt
people-
Blanchard.
Yeah.
MATT. Yep.
Did it right. Nice.
So there's two ways to change something in your life. Either an emotional event or repetition of thought. Those two ways. And what my presentation offers is definitely an emotional event. And then I will give you the tools
Blueprint.
to do the repetition of thought. And it'll change your organization. It'll change your culture. It'll change your atmosphere. It'll change your life.
Well, nothing's better to me on earth than word of mouth, you know,
Yeah.
and like what's that called? Where I don't know where my mom told me about you.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Recommendation?
Yeah, just a personal recommendation.
And your
from
parents, bro. I mean,
Yeah, they're good
Titan
people.
Stairs. We got to put a plug in for
Yeah, they're
Titan
awesome.
Stairs. Like when I say they're awesome, they're unbelievable.
Yeah, cool.
Like
Nice.
I still hit Brady up and just,
yeah.
hey, yo, bro, how you doing? That's a solid outfit.
Yeah,
man.
and my mom and dad, they've been around. They've been through some stuff. They travel the world, and they're just well-rounded people.
Yeah.
And they said that both of them were like, you have to meet this person. You
Yeah.
have to meet this person. And so
I feel the same way
They're
about
not real
your parents,
excitable.
bro.
Yeah.
So like that's for them to be
Yeah,
like,
they're
hey
chill,
Rick,
man.
you
They're
know what I
chill.
mean? Like they're just mellow.
Yeah.
You know?
I actually text my mom last night and
Yeah.
I says, hey, I've got Matt coming on tomorrow, and she says, I'm so excited to listen to it. So
Nice. No, this was a good conversation for sure.
yeah, it's been good, man. I appreciate you coming down. I appreciate your time. You know.
Absolutely. My absolute pleasure, my honor. Thank you.
Let's do it again.
Let's do it for sure.
I'll text you and 6 months from
We'll
now.
put 3 hours.
Yeah.
I'll get a return back.
You know,
like September. September he'll return my call.
Because it's
so-
easy. We could just wrap that. I mean, it's easy when 2 hours goes by and you're
Yeah.
just chilling.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude.
doubt.
And I honestly, let's do it at Lake Powell. Be
Yeah.
fun. I've done them in Costa
Done and
Rica.
done,
I've done them in
dude.
Hawaii. I've done them in Africa. I just did one in Africa.
I can set it up. We can do it on my houseboat or yours or whatever.
Yeah, I don't
Or
have
even
one.
on the lake would be awesome.
Yeah, I think
bro.
just go out on the beach or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way.
Let's do it.
Okay, brother. All right, man. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye.
All right, so there you have it. I want to tell Matt, thank you so much for coming down to the studio here in Utah and recording with me. As you heard, I've done 45, how many, Chase? 45, 50?
There's over 50 now.
Over
We've
50
recorded over
podcasts now. So we're getting there. We're getting our numbers up about a year strong now. And that's in my top 5 as far as information, inspiring, moving. Just that is such an amazing something to take something so tragic, that we all see as tragic, and to turn it into, you heard him say, if God walked in today and said, I can give you your legs back, he would not take them. It has made him a better person, which is unbelievable. And I am excited to go back and listen to this one again many times. And I'm going to have my sons listen to this, and my friends and family. So thank you, Matt, for coming in. If you guys, again, want to reach out to Matt, you can have him come and speak at your events. I highly recommend it. And it's Matt Blanchard, and his website is blanchardinspires.com. And on social media, Matt Blanchard, Blanchard. So excited, grateful for the opportunity to meet Matt, and look forward to we're going to do another one. You heard him. So Lake Powell, we're going to set it up here in a few months when I'm home, and we'll do one on the lake. So thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Go find an adventure somewhere, and stay safe.